We continue here. Sean Meyers joined by the head coach of the Burrell Buccaneers boys basketball team, Mike Fantuzzo, as his team is in the 3A bracket after a 13-5 regular season. And before we get into the specifics of the bracket and your playoff matchup, Mike, first off, congrats on getting to the postseason. I know it's a terrific start to the season for your Buccaneers. Not to say that you sputtered down the stretch, but it did seem like maybe the best basketball your team played was earlier in the season. So how did you evaluate the regular season from start to finish?
Yeah, I think we started off strong. We had a lot of energy, a lot of confidence going into it. Um, as the season went on, I'm not sure if we just got a little bit tired or what, but we struggled a little bit. Still winning most of our games, but we definitely hit some rough patches there. And then we finished fairly strong here with a couple wins and a near win over Deer Lakes as well. So hopefully going into the playoffs here, we get that confidence back and a little bit of rest, and then we're ready to go come next Monday.
I know Mackie Bennis is the player who receives most of the headlines for your team, and obviously he's been doing it for quite a while now. But it seems like you have a pretty veteran and accomplished group overall on your roster. What do you think the strengths are of this team, and who are some of the guys that maybe haven't gotten the headlines but have been big components of your success?
Yeah, Tucker Beatar, our point guard, makes us go. There's not many people who can keep him in front. He runs our offense runs through him. So I have to give him a ton of credit because he's really handled the ball really well this year for us, limited his turnovers. And he's a big part of the reason why, we were so successful, especially at the beginning of the year, with some bigger wins against some big time teams. So some others, Esau, King Buchek, he's improved over the course of the season, just understanding his role and how to play against some of those bigger guys because he does play underneath, and at 6'3", he sometimes is small. So understanding how to, compete down low. And then, Joey DeSallo, he's that third scorer that we need. When we beat Olsh early in the year and Shady Side, and, even we're up on Deer Lakes, he's a big reason why, because he was the one that hit some of those shots that we needed that other score to make. So, and then finally, Dylan McCullough, defensively, we put him on the team's best player. He does a great job, really containing those guys and limiting their points.
When you look at your section, obviously you compete against Deer Lakes, who is the defending state runner-up from a year ago. And while the Lancers were able to defeat you both times, how much value can you and your players pull from going against the best of the best twice throughout the course of the regular season already?
I think it gives us a good mindset, especially later in the season when we play them of where we're at and where we can go in 3A. And, although they edged us in this last one by three, I think it's just proof that if they play the way they can and do the things they're supposed to do, that, they're right in the mix with everyone else.
I know that when we look at the bracket, the couple of the teams that finished ahead of you in this section, Deer Lakes gets number 1, Shady Side Academy gets number 3. You end up with the 11th seed and thus have to go against number 6, Seton-La Salle. What were your expectations before the bracket was released, and then your reaction when you saw your seed and then the subsequent matchup?
Honestly, I was thinking around 10. So at the 11, it doesn't surprise me. So it's kind of what I was thinking. But, now, we're a couple points away from 2 more wins against Deer Lakes and Dairy, and could have put us in a home game position, but now we're on the road against a tough team in Seton-La Salle. So it definitely makes things more complicated than it could have been. But, like I said, I feel like we can play with every team in 3A.
And I know the Rebels had a very good regular season, and in their section, they lost just once, although it came against a team that you already mentioned in Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, a team that you defeated. So when you look at the Rebels, obviously they are very good, but they're not invincible. What do you see from them, and what's going to be maybe some of the biggest keys for your team to have success?
Yeah, they're an aggressive team. They like to push the ball. They got some size. They got a guard at 6'6" who's just really good, who can shoot the ball, who can post you up down low. They got another kid down low who has a lot of size to him. So They'll be a tough matchup from a size perspective. And they're very well coached. That coach has been around for a long time, so he has a system and a program going that's very successful.
Lastly, I know that some of these players that are instrumental for you, they've been around for quite a while, as we mentioned, and there's a lot of seniors on this group. So when you think back to their impact on the program and how they want to finish their careers, what comes to mind, and how much does it mean to have a group like this that's kind of been through the wars with you now?
Yeah, 2 years ago they got to be part of that team that went to the states, to the first round of the states. So they kind of saw what that was all about, and the excitement and what it takes to get there. And then last year, finishing with only 3 losses in the section and beating Deer Lakes last year, things gave them a lot of confidence, but we had things to improve upon, and they put some work in this offseason. And it shows some of the progress that they've made. It doesn't make things any easier when you go out there and play, but it gives you that experience and that confidence that goes a long way. So when it comes down to crunch time, they should be in a good position on what to do and how to handle that situation from an emotional standpoint and a mental standpoint, which I think is key in those situations versus teams that don't have that experience.
Well, hopefully your team is able to come through during crunch time. That is the playoffs. Mike, thanks for doing this. We appreciate the time as always, and good luck.
Thank you, Sean.